Good evening, friends. Today we are going to discuss Raju's character in the novel The Guide by R.K. Narayan, which is prescribed for your special paper 3, right? That is appreciating fiction. So we need to understand one thing, whether it is Raju's character, Rose's character, Velen's character, or even other characters from your prescribed novels. You need to understand certain tips for writing or speaking about a character in the novel or a short story, right? First of all, the character's action. You need to note down the actions of the character. Second important aspect of a character, that his or her physical aspect or physical appearance, how he or she looks. Third is his or her speech. Speech means what he speaks, what he or she speaks, how they react to the situations. So in actions, basically the character's action and reaction both come. Then in speech, his or her speech, their attitude about other people, their attitude about life, their perspective, their dialogues. Then one important thing is how the narrator comments about that particular character. Many times if there is a third person narrator, he talks about that particular, he narrates about that particular character. That is also important. And final thing can be what other characters speak about that character which we are going to write. So if you remember these points while reading any novel or a short story, any narrative work of fiction, then it will immensely help you. These points will immensely help you. So going to Raju's character, first of all we need to understand that Raju's character is a round character. We have already discussed that round character means the character which does not remain static, which is not a flat character, but that changes with the experiences he or she takes during the course of the novel, right? Round character can also be called dynamic character or multidimensional character. So Raju falls under all these categories, right? He falls under all these categories. For the convenience of writing or convenience to remember Raju's character, I have made, we can make certain divisions of his character with certain points to remember. First is Raju's childhood. Second is when he comes to the railway platform and handles his father's shop, that is when he becomes Railway Raju. Then third thing is when he becomes, again not with intention but unintentionally, when he becomes a tourist guide. Then the next step in his life or in his character would be meeting with Marco and Rosie. Obviously, Rosie is Marco's wife. Then Raju the lover. The next step or the fourth step would be Raju the lover. And while he becomes a lover of Rosie, how internal conflict arises in his mind, we'll discuss that afterwards again. Then Raju, as after Rosie comes from, she leaves Marco, or rather Marco leaves her in a way. She comes to Raju's house, we know that. So how Raju becomes Rosie's guide, protector, guide and manager, her dance manager, etc. We'll discuss that again. Then next step would be while he is living with Rosie in a house, how his nature changes. Again, his nature changes, right? And his insecurities. Whenever Marco's book comes to, when Marco's books comes to him, or that news in the magazine about Marco, how he hides those things from Rosie. So here you see his insecurities, and especially when Marco's advocate tries to send a jewelry box, and the jewelry box episode which causes Raju's downfall, moral downfall, a great moral downfall, and sends him to jail, that particular point. Then the next very important step would be in Raju's character, that is Raju the Swami or Mahatma, Raju the saint. I have always discussed Raju as a reluctant saint or a reluctant Mahatma. Again, we will discuss that. Another point I want to emphasize here, that Raju's childhood, right from Raju's childhood to his being sent to the jail, all those episodes have been narrated from the first person point of view. And Raju's present, that is his Swamihood or his Mahatmahood, his sainthood has been discussed from the third person point of view, right? So we'll start from first part or first step in Raju's character. Please remember, while writing about character in the examination, do not you should not be confused how to write. That's why I have started from Raju's childhood. We know that Raju is not, as he tells in the first person voice, first person narrative. uh, he's describing he's describing all this to Velen, right? He's narrating all this to Velen, as we find out afterwards. So Raju childhood, we know that he is not a very bright student, and he does not complete his school. I'll not be going in many details, because you can go to the details while you are studying the novel again. But these are just the guiding points. So for Raju childhood, we know that he is not very bright student in the school. Again, he does not like to work much, but rather he wants to wander. He wants to again go with his father. He likes his mother, obviously. Then after Raju's father's, when his father shifts to takes the shop at railway platform, Raju starts handling that shop, right? His father his father runs the shop at the village, and at this platform, newly allotted shop at the platform, railway platform, that is handled by Raju. So when Raju starts sitting at that particular shop, now the second step starts. We know that he leaves his education incomplete. He does not complete his education, right? And he is happy not to complete his education because he does not like the school much, right? So when he starts, second step starts when he starts handling the shop at the railway station. He does not keep only the necessary things like food items and all. They are in his shop, but he also starts keeping books, and slowly but steadily his name gets famous because students come to the railway station, they go get those books, other people come, they get newspapers, and thus his name starts becoming famous. Third stage immediately starts in his life, that is immediately, slowly, but that is Raju as a tourist guide. Now, as he is sitting in the at the railway station, that shop, whenever tourists come down, they step down from the railway, they ask, generally, when you get to the railway station, when you get down from a from a train, you generally ask about the tourist spots around that particular place. And these people, these tourists, Raju is the first person they encounter. They also ask for taxi stand. They also ask for the tourist place. They also ask for the Mempi Hills, which play an important part as a setting in this novel. So now slowly Raju turns from the shopkeeper, or from that railway Raju, he turns into a tourist guide. Right? Again, that name is constant, Railway Raju. He is known as Railway Raju. He becomes famous as Railway Raju. So he starts showing the tourists around. He also starts telling the various things about those places. One thing we must note about Raju's character, that he keeps talking with his customers. Even if, though it is not a very good thing, he also understands that. But even if he does not know much about a place, still he praises that particular spot or particular tourist spot, place. So one thing, that he is a very clever talker. He's a good he is a good speaker when he talks with these tourists or his customers, and he kind of completely engrosses them in his talk, right? So tourist gets kind of engrossed in his speech, and they get interested. He also, while in this particular stage, when he is talking about this particular stage in his life, he is also talking about various kinds of tourists. Some tourists, they do not believe his words immediately, as he tells them about the places. Or some tourists are there that they tell Raju that this is not the truth which you are telling, but this is the thing, right? So That part is also interesting. You must read in the book. Then the next part, that is his meeting with Marco. He describes, remember, Marco's name is never told in the whole novel. His real name. Marco is a name given by Raju because of Marco's appearance. We know that helmet and that bag and kind of appearance of a permanent or perennial tourist, on Marco's appearance. So particular, his this stage is very important when he meets Marco. Raju meets Marco, because at the same moment, at the same time, Marco tells them, when they get acquainted with each other, Marco tells them that someone is coming by afternoon Madras train. That someone is Marco's wife Rosie. Now, here a very completely new phase or new stage starts in Raju's life, right? That afternoon, when Raju sees Rosie for the first time, he calls her as a divine creature. Obviously, he tells it. He tells us this particular point afterwards in the first person narrative. So he calls her divine feature, and though she is, this is important, that though she is a married woman, she is Marco's wife, right? And again, specifically, both of them are his customers, but still he falls in love immediately. He gets attracted towards Rosie. He falls in love with Rosie. This point is remarkable here, very important point, because this significant point decides Raju's future. He goes into the further trouble because of Rosie, as he himself says. We do not know. We have to judge. He goes into the further trouble because of Rosie or because of himself, right? So the next stage starts here. Raju the lover. Now, as we discuss novel, we have already discussed the novel. Raju starts neglecting other tourists because of Rosie. He starts ignoring his other customers, his daily customers, to serve Marco and Rosie full-heartedly. And slowly, he completely kind of gets attracted towards Rosie. Obviously, it is also love at first sight for him when he sees Rosie. But as he knows her closely, as he starts knowing her closely, he gets more and more attracted, and he starts kind of to love her. He starts to love her deeply. Now, here is a point that Raju is an unmarried person, a bachelor young boy or a young man, right? But this moral question raises here, that whether this person should fall for a married woman, right? And when he thinks about that, we know that as they go to the that particular Peak House bungalow, right? Again, that place is very important as a setting in the novel, because many important things happen at that particular Peak House bungalow. Peak House bungalow is comparatively near to Mempales, where Marco is working. Marco is studying those caves, right? And those carvings in those caves. So when Raju along with Marco and Rosie, they are at the Peak House bungalow. Raju, starts asking himself. Raju's one mind asks himself that whatever he is doing, is it right? Right? After all, Rosie is Marco's wife. He is another person's wife, right? And it is not, from the society's point of view, it is not moral. From the Raju's point of view, that particular mind, conscience, what we call conscience, right, or superego, his superego tells him that it is not right to fall for Rosie or to get attracted towards Rosie. But his another mind, his impulsive mind, his ego, or his unconscious self, that doesn't listen. He completely falls, he is completely attracted towards Rosie. So that kind of internal conflict we see at this particular point when they are at the Peak House. The internal conflict is the character's conflict with himself or herself, within the mind, the conflict that goes on within the mind. It can be a moral conflict as in the case of Raju, right? Now we need to little bit concentrate at this particular stage of Raju the lover, right? Because he continues to make efforts that Rosie also gets attracted towards himself. Raju notices one thing, that things are not very good, things are not very smooth between the husband and the wife, that is Marco and Rosie, right? They always fight with each other. They do not talk with each other very amicably or very lovingly. And Raju, who is very clever, who is very keen person, he notices that immediately and he exploits that particular point, that relationship, that weakened relationship between Marco and Rosie. Raju kind of exploits this particular relationship. We do not know, we do not, or rather, we should not judge whether he does right or wrong. But yes, at one particular point, he starts exploiting this. He starts asking Rosie about their relationship, and she reveals, a simple minded person and already a troubled soul, Rosie. She admits that things are not very good uh, in their relationship, her relationship with her husband. And so Raju starts praising Rosie's work, Rosie's dance. Rosie is a dancer, and he starts praising her dance. And he praises her dance in such a way, or he praises her such a way that there in between those praises, there is that courtship. There are the sentences of courtship. For example, he tells her that you dance so beautifully, and in the next sentence he tells her that he could not sleep the whole night thinking about her. So in this way, he starts flirting with Rosie. Rosie also understands that, but being love deprived, being incompatible, completely completely an incompatible relationship, Rosie also starts getting attracted, falling for Raju. Now, this is an important point. That's why we gave a little bit more time. Now we know that when their relationship forwards, when their relationship gets more and more intimate, more and more close, they make a plan. That plan is that Rosie will tell Marco, because Raju is a clever person. I tell you again that Raju tells Rosie or convinces Rosie that if she starts, she's close to Raju, they will plan for her future as a dancer. And therefore they make a plan, maybe in their dream, that illusion. One particular question I saw in the question paper was the guide as a novel from illusion to reality. So they are living, Raju and Rosie are living in an illusion right now. And in that particular illusory state, they plan that Rosie will convince Marco that with the help of Raju, with Raju's help, she will become a dancer. And when Raju drops her at that Peak House bungalow, after 3 days he goes there. Right? After 3 days he goes there and he finds that they both have quarreled. Rosie is in very sad mood. Rosie does not speak nicely to Raju at all. Neither do Marco, nor do Marco speaks nicely to Raju. Then they have a quarrel. Raju and Marco, they have a quarrel. Rosie tells very firmly and very curtly Raju to go. We have seen all this. You should read basically the novel, right? You should read the novel for all these situations, understanding this situation. So finally, Raju leaves that Peak House. Raju leaves Rosie and Marco, and he thinks that he falsely or incorrectly thinks that the chapter of Rosie is over from his life, right? But now the next stage starts, that the chapter is not over at all. After 15 days, Rosie comes to, after a rather month, after a month's time, Rosie drops at Raju's place, Raju's house, with a trunk in her hand. And she tells him, to cut long story short, that she tells him that after she told Marco about the dance and about the planning of the dance, Marco does not like that plan at all, because he basically hates dancing, or At least he hates Rosie's kind of dancing, that is whatever her style is, but he always calls her dancing as just acrobats like monkeys dance on the street. And therefore she, somehow in her she commits a blunder of her life, that she tells Marco that Raju admires or Raju appreciates her dance. And then Marco, who is not a fool, though he is fool enough to trust completely his wife and Raju, right? He has, Raju tells at one point that he has Marco has unimaginable capacity of trusting someone. So, though he does that, but now Marco understands when he listens to Rosie that Raju admires her dance, and then he asks that where did she show Raju her dancing skills, and then she has to tell everything that passed between Raju and herself. The whole night, Rosie tells Raju that the whole night Marco had asked her various questions about their relationship, and everything is known to Marco finally. Then after some days, uh, after after his work is completed, Marco leaves alone for Madras. Now obviously Chennai, but then Madras. So Marco leaves alone for Madras, and Rosie comes to Raju's house. Now this next step is also very significant. Is this next phase in Raju's life is also very significant, because as she starts living with Raju, his mother does not like it very much. Then her brother, means Raju's uncle, come. Then after 1 or 2 days, Raju's mother leaves. Uncle creates some fuss and particular havoc rather with Raju about Rosie. And when Raju very firmly, there we again see the strength of Raju's character, that he very firmly supports Rosie, who has been abandoned by her husband. She is a lonely woman, she is a helpless woman, and there, a person could have, a man especially, could have immediately freed himself of this responsibility, this, or in a sense, this burden, right? But he does not do that. He supports Rosie at that particular point completely, and helplessly for his mother, she has to live with her brother. Then Raju and Rosie starts living like husband and wife. Please understand, novel is published in 1950s, right? So at that particular time, man and woman living with each other without marriage, they do not marry with each other. So that was a live-in, what we call today live-in relationship, and it was a very daring thing to express in a novel. And R.K. Narayan was daring enough to put that particular point. Anyway, so they start living with each other, and obviously initial days pass full of love, but slowly both of them understand that they have to move forward. That is, move forward means Raju, as he had promised Rosie, that he has to find something for her. She starts her training very seriously, and he starts looking for business means arranging her dance classes, or sorry, her dance programs. So as he starts arranging for Rose's dance programs, first program is in the local school, and afterwards, because again here Raju's communication skills are greatly helpful, and very soon Rosie becomes a very famous dancer throughout India, throughout the country, right? And they get a new house. His old house is acquired by his friend, earlier friend, but now that particular house has been kind of confiscated by the court, and they get into a new house, obviously rented, but a very big bungalow or kind of big palatial house, and they have, now they are living lavishly because of Raju's communication skills, because of Raju's managerial skills, managing the programs for Rosie, getting appointments for Rosie, and Rosie's dance skills. They start getting famous. Both of them start getting famous. and they start living lavishly with drivers, assistants, cooks, and all those things. Separate master or separate dance teacher for Rosie. What you must have understood by now, friends, that what we are doing, that we are not looking at only Raju's character, but while talking about Raju's character, the whole novel unfolds, right? Again, as now again, see, he Raju becomes Rosie's guide. So this is from tourist guide, he becomes now Rosie's guide, and he makes her famous. But while they are living, slowly but steadily, insecurities come in between them. They start fighting like husband and wife. He starts complaining that she does not give him a time and spends time in others' company. And then there are certain episodes that, first of all, references of Marco come, that his news or his article about his book comes into a particular magazine, right? And Raju hides that magazine, but Rosie finds that out. Then another thing is, Marco sends, as per promise, as he had promised to Raju, he has mentioned Raju's name, or he has acknowledged Raju's help in his book, and he has sent the copy to Raju, and Raju hides that book also. And the final rift comes, or the final knell to the coffin of their relationship comes in the form of letter from Marco's advocate. This is a very crucial point, because this causes Raju's downfall and Raju's betrayal to Rosie, right? So we know that that letter comes, and it requires, there is it is a case of jewelry, a jewelry box, and to get that particular box, Rosie has to sign a particular form, right? And but Raju here again gets insecure, because he thinks if Rosie comes to know about this later, she will think that, oh, how generous Marco is. And Raju imagines that she might go to, in the sense of gratitude, she might return to Marco, and he does not want that, right? So he forges Rosie's signature, and that is the biggest mistake he commits, right? And obviously it is found out, and one fine evening, when he is in the company of he is in Rosie's program, the police superintendent comes to that program and arrests Raju. He gets 2 years jail. We know all the details, that the lawyers pleas and the arguments, etc., etc. We also know about how Rosie dedicated herself to save Raju, but he gets at least 2 years imprisonment. And Rosie, who is completely fed up with Raju's behavior, and basically she's shattered because of he's signing, he's forging her signature. It is a kind of betrayal. Obviously, it's a betrayal, and she leaves Raju. And after coming out of the prison after 2 years, we find Raju at the novel's beginning. That Raju's life gets a completely new turn, right? That is this new phase, that Raju as the Swami, Mahatma, the saint, etc., etc. But as I said earlier, he is a reluctant Mahatma or reluctant Swami. How? That Velan is the first person who meets Raju at those river steps. When the novel opens, that is the first thing, that Velan is sitting near Raju, and Raju helps him. Again, habit, his habit of guiding people gets him into a trouble, or in another words, it starts a new phase in Raju's life, right? So when Velan asks for help, or he tells about his problems, Raju inadvertently helps him, so advises him, and miraculously, rather, Raju's words come true, and his fame as a great soul, spreads through that particular village, Mangala or Mangal, right? So this new phase starts. Raju does not want to get involved as a saint. Here he does not want to become a saint. That is very clear at the initial points, at least. But as his fame grows, people start coming with gifts They start coming with gifts of fruits or food, and then one particular day, Raju hides behind a hibiscus bush. He wants to see that what will happen if I leave, right? Then the people come and they talk about him. They do not find him, and they talk about him as a great soul. He realizes, Raju here makes a decision. We do not know for good or bad, right? But he makes a decision. He cannot go to Malgudi back, right? Yeah, I forgot to tell you that the basic village or basic town Raju belongs to is Malgudi, right? An imaginary name, obviously, in many of R.K. Narayan's fictions. So he is from Malgudi, but now out of prison, he cannot go back to Malgudi because he thinks of the sniggers, he thinks of the things that people would laugh on him, right? People would taunt him, and that's why he does not want to go to Malgudi again. Second thing, he has not trained himself to earn living by hard work or by manual work. So that is out of question. Here, just speaking few words or few sentences, giving few advices to people, these simplistic people, simple villagers, he gets food. He gets food unasked for, right? This thing he cannot get anywhere else. He realizes that, and he takes a very vital, a very significant decision of his life, that he decides to stay at that particular village. But this particular decision leads to many other complications in his life. And again, the end of the novel, right? So, though he has taken basically this decision for his own self, the decision is very selfish, that he will get food unasked for. But slowly, once he has taken the decision, he starts doing some things of social welfare. For example, he tells a particular schoolmaster from that village to start an evening school at the temple, right? When the children come, their parents also come and they tell Raju to give them a discourse. So he starts giving not only advice but to discourses. He starts telling them stories from Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. All the scriptures, right? The As the years go, his appearance has completely changed. He has grown a long beard that is touching his chest. He has grown hair, right, overlapping his shoulders, and his appearance has completely changed, right? Now he has speaking, his eloquence has increased much more than when he was a railway guide. So his eloquence has sharpened, has got that sharpness. He also realizes that, he also wonders about that. But as the years pass, as the time goes on, there is severe drought in and around Mangal, in that particular region. And for the first time, villagers starts getting worried. And obviously, as we know that in the drought situation, in this particular famine-like situation, food and water, everything gets scarce, right? And people start fighting with each other. In the same way, likewise, people of this particular village, Mangal, they also start fighting. And the news comes to Raju that Velan has got injured. Here is again significant point in this novel. Raju gets to know that Velan has been seriously injured in a fight, and he gets to know about this news from Velan's cousin, who is not a very sharp boy. Right? He is a little bit dull-witted. He does not understand things very clearly. So, as he gets the news, he tells this Velan's brother that he wants them to stop fighting immediately. But as I told you that Velan's brother is a little bit dull-witted, he does not understand it clearly. So Raju gets irritated and he tells them that he tells Velan's brother that he will not eat anything unless they stop fighting. Now this dull-witted person, Velan's brother, he gets little bit afraid. Raju again tells that I will not eat anything unless things get good. So Raju's meaning is that these villagers should stop fighting. He again, this particular message is also selfish message from Raju, because Raju does not want the things to get out of hand, because if things get out of hand, police will come there, crowd will gather there, and they will recognize Raju. So, from that selfish motivation, he tells Valen's brother that he will not eat anything till they stop fighting. But this particular dull headed person, as he goes to the village running, and when people ask him why he is so much confused, he gets more confused. When they shake him, when those people shake this cousin's shoulders, he gets more muddle headed, and in that particular confusion, he tells that Mahatma has given him a message. So everyone becomes very quiet, very silent, and they ask him excitedly, "What is the message?" Right? I'm shortening their speech, but they ask him, what is this Mahatma's message? What is this great soul's message? And in his excitement and to get some kind of importance upon himself, this Velan's brother tells them that the Mahatma, this Maharaj has told that he will not eat anything till it rains. Again, I repeat, this fellow tells the villagers that Raju will not eat anything till it rains. So, here the biggest misunderstanding has been created and a biggest problem has been created for Raju. All the people feel very grateful. All these people they feel very grateful that they have got such a great soul among themselves. They start comparing Raju with Mahatma Gandhi, right? And flocks of people come to the temple, and Raju feels happy. Okay, they have understood that now they have stopped fighting. Now Velan, to cut a long story short, when he asks Velan that why people don't go home now, tell them to go home. So Velan tells, no, now if these people go home, someone else will take their place, because Raju has undertaken, Swamiji has undertaken such a penance upon himself. And in short, Velan tells Raju that they have understood that Raju will not eat, Raju will continue a penance, a particular method of penance, till the rain comes, till the rain comes to the village, till it rains. Now Velan tells Raju that once Raju had told them about this method of penance, that a great soul will come and he will stand in a knee deep water, he will do daily some hours of worship to the sun or to the gods, and he will completely fast. He will not eat anything. So his own words have boomerang. Raju's own words have boomerang. They have kind of stuck himself, right? His own story has boomeranged on himself, and he has caught in his own trap now. He does not see any escape from the situation. As the last attempt to escape from this situation, he tells Velan all his life story. That he is he is an ordinary man rather, and he does not deserve to be called saint. He tells everything. He tells about Rosie. So it's a basically tool, a tool the author has used to get into the first person narrative mode, right? So Raju's telling Velan about his life in the first person. It's a kind of narrative tool in the novel. Please remember that it can be helpful by writing about the structure of the novel, right? So here Raju tells Velan everything very honestly, that he is not a Mahatma they are imagining or they are taking him for, but he is rather a prisoner. He was a criminal who he has come out of prison. But when he starts narrating his life story, instead of, as Raju expects Velan to shout at him that you have fooled us and please leave, otherwise we will throw you out of the village. Here, Velan, a very simple-hearted man, right? That Raju gets overwhelmed at Velan's reaction. that Velan bows to him, and he says that Velan says that this proves that you are such a great man, you have told me everything. And he thumps his chest, Velan thumps his chest, and he tells that everything you have told will remain here, that is in his heart. But then it rather proves that you are a Mahatma. Now, here is a problem for Raju. He has understood he cannot escape from this particular fast, from this particular penance. And so finally, he understands that he has to do it. There is some food in the sanctum of the temple he has hidden. So 2 days or 3 days he survives on that food very nicely. But then he thinks, again the internal conflict is there. It arises in Raju's mind. He thinks that if these people are, they have trust in him, if they believe him so truly, that they are so devoted to this cause, why shouldn't he do the penance seriously? Why shouldn't he fast and do the penance seriously? And that is the change of mind. That is the point from where Raju goes from illusion to reality. Right? This is the reality now of Raju's life, that he will do the penance seriously. He understands that. And he thinks that let's give it a try. He thinks of giving it a try. If because of his penance, if rain comes, if it rains, then nothing like it. So he starts doing his penance seriously. And very soon, this news of Mahatma having penance, doing all those practices, kind of standing in the knee deep water in the river basin and completely fasting, spreads everything like everywhere like a wildfire. Many journalists come there. A particular American journalist also comes there. He takes his interview in English. Raju answers. That particular scene is described very picturesquely in the novel, very vividly in the novel. And after then, almost at the 11th, please check it in the novel if I'm wrong, but I suppose yes, on the 11th day, that this is the final moment in the novel. Raju has got very serious condition. Right? He has become critical. He does not listen to the doctors. Doctors have been sent by the government because government is worried that nothing should happen to this particular Mahatma. Otherwise, we know that in India particularly, there can be a riot-like situation if something happens to holy people. This also shows the attitude of people, these simple people, these village people who, village or city, they are the same rather, they have the same attitude. They do not think. But anyway, we'll talk about this after sometime afterwards. But here again, coming back to Raju's penance, doctors are worried because his condition has got very serious. His BP is very low, but still at that particular dawn, on that particular early morning, Raju goes to that river basin. Now he has to be supported by two people, Velan and another person. He has become so weak, he can barely walk. But still he goes into that river basin, that particular water basin. He stands and he feels vibrations. Now he feels vibrations maybe because he has become so weak. His legs almost give way, and he says that he feels that there is sound of rain somewhere in the hills. So he says to Velan that I can hear the rains are coming. And at that particular moment, he collapses. And the novel ends. Here we can deduce many possibilities. We can guess many possibilities, but obviously the starkest possibility here is that Raju dies at this particular moment. So novel ends tragically. Yes, one might say Narayan has kept the end of the novel little bit open, right? Little bit open, I will say, because it clearly shows that Raju has collapsed and he was in a very serious condition. But still, one can say yes, he recovers afterwards. But I think that will be a play of imagination, because that would be highly improbable to believe that Raju recovers and all. But anyway, at this particular moment, Raju's avatar as Swami comes to an end, we can believe, right? Again, the while writing the answer, obviously you will not be able to write so much what we have discussed right now. But I discussed in little bit detail because while discussing, see, Raju is the protagonist. No denying the fact. Raju is the protagonist of the novel, and the whole novel revolves around his character. And therefore, his every action affects the progression of the plot. So, as I was telling, you must get down the or note down the points about Raju's character in one particular sequence, that is from Raju's childhood to Raju's end, or Raju's rather sacrifice. Again, it points out to this particular question or issue of illusion. Illusion when he is living with Rosie, it is illusion. When he is a lover of Rosie, it is an illusion. When Marco understands everything, they come to reality. Again with Rosie's, stay with his Raju stay with Rosie, that is an illusion, kind of. They are in a dreamland, right? But afterwards, when Rosie gets bored out of that circus like performances every day, they slowly come to terms with reality. Then there is clash final clash rather between Raju and Rosie, when Raju forges Rosie's signature. See, there are certain significant points in his life, a graph kind of, you know, rise and fall and again rise of Raju, we can call it. So when he is railway, an ordinary person, railway Raju, a tourist guide, then a turn comes in his life, that is he falls for Rosie and he wins over Rosie. So that is one very important phase in Raju's life. Then again the turn comes when he forges her signature and goes to jail. And again, finally, when he becomes that particular, he first of all he takes the garb, disguise, though reluctantly. People take him for a Mahatma, right? But then he accepts that challenge, kind of a challenge, and he involves in these things. He starts uh, guiding them. He starts discoursing, and then again, his the reality. The point again comes to reality when he takes decision to do the penance for those people, fasting and doing all those things very seriously for the villagers. So these steps, his childhood, becoming guide, becoming Raju the lover, right? Raju childhood, then railway Raju, then Raju the tourist guide, then his meeting with Marco Rosie, then Raju the lover, his internal conflict, that has to be mentioned. Then Raju as Rosie's guide, her manager and her guide, guiding her about her programs and all those things. So the title, his character also involves the title, the guide. He is a permanent guide, kind of, right? Not only the tourist guide by profession. And then his separation with Rosie and becoming guide of those village people of Mangala. And finally, his sacrifice for the people of Mangala. These points you need to remember and very briefly point out if the question comes about Raju's character or any question about Raju's character. It can be any aspect of Raju's character. Please understand that. So, I stop here. Thank you very much. Best of luck, right? And I hope that you have enjoyed this novel, reading the novel, and you might have enjoyed this talk also. Thank you so much.